people spend their entire lives waiting for the right time, the perfect mood, the magical feeling called motivation. But that feeling, it rarely shows up. And when it does, it's gone in a flash. The ones who win in this life don't wait for motivation, they build without it. They wake up tired and still show up. They're scared, uncertain, but they move anyway. Because they understand one truth: action creates clarity. Discipline builds freedom. So the only question that matters now is, which one are you? There's a dangerous lie that too many people believe. It goes something like this: I'll go to the gym when I feel like it. I'll start the business when I'm ready. I'll change when the time feels right. But the truth is, you'll never feel ready. The person who shows up every day, rain or shine, pain or peace, is the one who wins. And the person waiting on motivation will keep waiting, forever. Success doesn't require brilliance. It requires consistency. Average people get average results because they follow average routines. They follow what the crowd does, they chase comfort, and then wonder why life doesn't deliver greatness. If you want a different life, one filled with purpose, challenge, and pride, then you must walk a different path. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you moved towards something that scared you? I'm not talking about a fear of spiders or heights. I'm talking about the fear of rejection. The fear of failure. The fear of looking like a fool. The fear of finding out who you really are when the mask comes off. Because that's the fear that keeps people average. And until you face it, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. Here's what I've learned. Every single time I decided to rise, it was hard. It was hard to wake up early when no one else had to. It was hard to say no to comfort and yes to growth. It was hard to take ownership when I had every excuse in the world not to. But I did it anyway. And the moment I took radical responsibility for my time, my choices, my failures, that's when the universe began to move with me. See, the world doesn't reward potential. It rewards proof. And proof comes from one thing: action. Winners don't win because they're lucky. Winners win because they show up even when it sucks. Even when it hurts. Even when it's humiliating. Even when it's boring. Especially when it's boring. Because real growth happens in the unglamorous moments. Let's talk about ownership. Ownership is when you stop saying, "I had a rough childhood," and start saying, "It's my job to heal and move forward." Ownership is when you stop blaming your boss, your girlfriend, your parents, or your past, and you say, "If it's to be, it's up to me." It's not about what happened to you. It's about how you respond. Yes, maybe your dad wasn't there. Yes, maybe your family was poor. Yes, maybe life hasn't been fair. But what now? You gonna keep crying? You gonna keep hiding behind those stories until you're 40, 50, 60? Man up. Woman up. Stand up. Take the wheel. Drive your own life. Because no one is coming to save you. And let me be clear. This isn't about toxic toughness. This is about sovereignty. Sovereignty means you control your life, your energy, your reactions. When someone disrespects you, you don't spiral. When life punches you in the mouth, you don't collapse. You adapt. You reset. You rise. You say, "I am not a victim of life. I am the architect of it." You see, what separates boys from men isn't muscles or a deep voice. It's responsibility. It's discipline. It's the courage to protect, to provide, to build, to serve, and to sacrifice. It's putting others before yourself. It's stepping up even when you don't feel like it. It's being dependable, especially when no one is watching. There's a saying, kill the boy, let the man be born. And some of you have never made that transition. You're still waiting on someone to approve you, crown you, anoint you. You're still thinking someone's going to come and clean up the mess you've made. They're not. This is on you. This has always been on you. And that's not a punishment. That's freedom. Let's talk about the people around you. The moment you start changing, people will say, "Oh, you've changed." And they'll mean it as an insult. You should take it as a badge of honor. Because the moment you start rising, they'll start projecting. They'll say you're obsessed. They'll say you're weird. They'll say you're doing too much. Good. Let them talk. Because average people always criticize what they don't understand. You don't need their permission. You don't need their applause. You need your vision, your conviction, and your commitment. So I ask you again, what would your life look like if you stopped waiting on motivation and started building discipline? If you stopped trying to fit in and started standing out? If you stopped apologizing for wanting more and started demanding more from yourself? What if today was the day you finally took the keys back? Every single person you admire, every leader, every champion, every icon, has one thing in common. They've suffered. Not just once. Not just lightly. They've been broken. Shattered. Crushed. And then they chose to rise. Because life doesn't give you strength. Life gives you the opportunity to find your strength. And how do you find it? By standing in the fire. By carrying the weight. By showing up when every part of you wants to quit. There's a moment in every man's life when he realizes, no one is coming to save me. That's when the boy dies, and the man is born. It's brutal. It's lonely. And it's necessary. You stop looking for rescue and start looking inward. You stop waiting for permission and start taking action. You stop asking, why me, and start declaring, try me. And let's be real. That moment doesn't come gift-wrapped. It shows up as heartbreak. As betrayal. As being broken, humiliated. But it also shows up as clarity. It shows you who your real friends are. It shows you how soft you've become. It shows you that your excuses have expired. Because there's no hiding when the pain is real. And that's when you finally understand, pain isn't the enemy. Avoidance is. Let's talk about that for a second, pain. Most people run from it. They drink it away. Smoke it away. Sleep with strangers to escape it. Scroll for hours to forget it. But the truth? Pain is one of life's most honest teachers. It shows you exactly where you're weak. Exactly where you've been hiding. Exactly what you need to face. And if you're bold enough to listen, it will shape you into someone unbreakable. Discipline, brotherhood, purpose, these are not just words. They are practices. That's why things like jiu-jitsu, weightlifting, martial arts, they're so powerful. It's not about violence or ego. It's about learning how to suffer together. It's about learning how to control your breathing under pressure. It's about knowing how to stay composed when someone's literally trying to choke you out. And you know what happens after that session? You walk taller. You speak with calm. You look people in the eye. Because deep down, you know. You can handle it. And that belief, it doesn't come from thinking positively. It comes from doing things that are hard. From building a body of evidence that says, I don't quit. I don't run. I don't fold. That's what separates the ones who rise from the ones who rot. Let's get something straight. This is not about being alpha. This is not about being better than someone else. This is about being better than who you were yesterday. It's about becoming a protector, a provider, someone who builds more than he consumes, someone who heals more than he hurts. This is real masculinity. But let me say this loud and clear. This journey, it's not just for men. It's for anyone who wants to own their life. Woman, man, young, old, it doesn't matter. The call is the same. Take ownership of your time, of your choices, of your mind. You want to know how to build confidence. Keep the promises you make to yourself. That's it. Say you're going to wake up at 6 a.m. Then get your ass up at 6 a.m. That one moment, when the alarm hits and your brain whispers, just 5 more minutes. That's your test. That's the fight. Win that, and the rest of your day becomes yours. You want to write a book? Start with 1 paragraph. You want to get fit? Start with 1 push-up. You want to be respected? Start by respecting yourself. The mistake people make is thinking they need to feel like doing it. You don't. Action comes before confidence. Action comes before motivation. Action is the seed, and confidence is the fruit. So plant something today. Even if it's small. Even if you're scared. Even if nobody claps for you. Especially if nobody claps for you. And when it gets hard, and it will get hard. Remember this. You can be tired and still keep going. You can be heartbroken and still show up. You can be uncertain and still take the next step. Because the truth is, the moment you feel like quitting is the exact moment you're closest to transformation. Let me say that again. The moment you feel like quitting is the exact moment you're closest to transformation. So don't fold. Don't give in to the small voice in your head. Feed the voice that says, let's go again. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be persistent. Let's talk about something raw. Something most people avoid their whole lives. Your identity. Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when there's no applause, no audience, no validation? Because when the lights go off, and it's just you in the mirror, that reflection doesn't lie. You might fool your friends. You might fool your coworkers. Hell, you might even fool your family. But you can't fool that shadow standing next to you. That version of you who knows the truth. When you said you'd go all in, but held back. When you said you'd change, but didn't. When you made excuses instead of progress. That version of you is always watching. And the longer you ignore it, the louder it gets. That's why so many people feel this quiet shame. Not because someone else judged them, but because they judged themselves. And let me tell you this. The most brutal betrayal is when you betray your own potential. But here's the good news. You don't have to be perfect to be proud. You don't have to have it all figured out to rebuild. You just need to start telling the truth. The truth about what you want. The truth about what you're afraid of. The truth about who you've become, and who you're becoming. You want to rebuild your identity? Then start with these questions. What do I no longer tolerate from myself? What behaviors must I bury to become who I want to be? What would the highest version of me do today? Don't give me a 5-year plan. Give me one decision you'll make differently today. Because change doesn't happen in a moment of inspiration. Change happens when you're face to face with your reflection and you say, I'm done with who I used to be. Let's build something real. And listen, that process isn't pretty. There will be days where you feel faked, where you act confident but feel terrified, where you show up, but your mind is screaming, "You're not enough." That's normal. You're not broken, you're just growing. Growth isn't a straight line. It's a fight. It's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. It's relapsing into bad habits, then crawling your way out again. It's silence, self-doubt, progress, and repeat. But every time you rise, you prove something to yourself. You begin to shift the story from, "I'm not good enough," to, "I'm becoming someone powerful." Now let's talk about leadership. Not the title. Not the office. Not the applause. Real leadership. The kind that starts from within. Because before you can lead a team, or a company, or a family, you need to lead yourself. If you can't keep your own promises, why should anyone trust you? If you fold under pressure, how can anyone depend on you? If you fake your confidence, how can you give courage to someone else? The most powerful leaders aren't the loudest in the room. They're the ones who've been through hell and came out with integrity intact. They've lost, and still showed up. They've failed, and still stayed present. They've been humbled, and still kept their head up. And now, people follow them. Not because of a job title, but because they've earned respect by winning the war within. Talk about something we all face, but very few confront. Pain. Most people spend their lives running from it. Trying to escape it, drown it, numb it, blame it on something, or someone else. But let me tell you the truth that most people never hear. Pain isn't punishment. It's permission. Permission to grow. Permission to rise. Permission to leave behind who you were and become who you were meant to be. Look, I know pain feels unfair. You didn't ask to be abandoned. You didn't ask for the heartbreak, the betrayal, the loss. You didn't ask for the struggle. But here's what you did get to choose. What now? Because you can't rewind the past. You can't undo what was done to you. But you can decide how much of your future it's allowed to control. Blame is a drug. It numbs your responsibility and kills your power. The more you blame others, the less power you have to change anything. And that's the trap most people fall into. They hold on to the story. My father wasn't there. My teachers didn't believe in me. My ex destroyed my confidence. The system is unfair. And listen, those things may all be true. But here's the reality, those stories don't serve you anymore. Pain is real. But staying stuck in it, that's a choice. You were not built to live in a cage made of your own memories. You were built to walk through the fire and come out forged. Some people let pain define them. But the strong, the disciplined, the self-led, they let pain refine them. They let it cut away what's weak, what's fake, what's fragile. Until all that's left is something solid. Something undeniable. Something true. I'm going to say this directly. If you are still blaming your childhood, your parents, your past, it's time to bury that. Not because it doesn't matter, but because your future matters more. You can't become the man or woman you were born to be if you keep dragging dead weight behind you. Forgive, not for them, but for you. Release, not because they deserve peace, but because you do. Now let's talk about what comes next. Let's talk about building something stronger than excuses. Let's talk about your code. Every great person you admire. Every Navy SEAL, every world-class athlete, every high-impact leader. They operate by a personal code of honor. It's not written on a wall. It's not something they perform when others are watching. It's internal, unshakable, untouchable. So, what's your code? What do you stand for, no matter what? Are you someone who keeps their word, even when it's inconvenient? Are you someone who finishes what they start, even when no one's clapping? Are you someone who shows up, even when you're hurting? That's your code. Not what you post. Not what you say in the gym. Not what you pretend to be in front of people. But who you are when the lights go out and you're staring at your ceiling, asking, "Did I live like I meant it today?" Let me break this down real simple. You don't need more motivation. You need more conviction. Motivation fades. Conviction endures. When life gets hard, motivation says, maybe tomorrow. Conviction says, right now. When people criticize you, motivation says, this hurts. Conviction says, this is fuel. When the plan fails, motivation runs. Conviction rebuilds. You want to rise? Then build your code. Etch it into your mind. Burn it into your daily behavior. And protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Let me give you a personal example. Broke. I was tired. I was angry at everything and everyone. But the day I stopped blaming and started owning, everything changed. I looked in the mirror and said, from now on, I do the hard things. From now on, I tell the truth. From now on, I don't wait, I move. And I haven't looked back since. Was it perfect? Hell no. I still messed up. I still fell short. But my standard never changed. And eventually, my results caught up to that standard. That's what your code does. It holds you when the world shakes. It leads you when nothing else makes sense. It gives you something to trust, you. Let me ask you a question. When you die, what will they say about you? What will your name mean to your family? To your community? To your children, if you have them, or the ones watching your life from afar? Because here's the truth that most people ignore. You are building your legacy right now, one choice at a time. Not someday. Not when you're rich. Not when you've made it. Right now. In how you live. In how you show up. In what you stand for. Legacy isn't about being famous. It's not about how many followers you have. It's not about getting your name etched in stone. It's about the invisible ripple you leave behind every time you do the right thing when no one's watching. It's about how you made people feel. It's about what people learned by watching how you handled pain, pressure, failure, and victory. And above all else, it's about who you chose to become in the time you were given. Look around you. The world is loud. Everyone's trying to go viral. Everyone's chasing applause. Everyone wants to be seen. But real impact, real legacy, it's built in silence. In the quiet mornings when you choose discipline over excuses. In the lonely nights when you write instead of scroll. In the countless times you want to quit, but don't. That's where character is forged. That's where the real ones are made. And if you're still here, if you're still listening, then I know something about you. You don't want a life of survival. You want a life of significance. You don't want to die with regret. You want to die empty, because you poured everything you had into this world. So how do you live a life that matters? Here's how. You take ownership of everything. Your past, your present, your future. You stop making excuses. Excuses are elegant lies that kill legacy. You raise your standards. And then you keep them high, even when no one else does. You serve. You lift others. You create something that helps people rise, even if it's just your example. You decide, right now, that your life means something. Not someday. Not eventually. Today. Listen. You don't need $1 million to start a legacy. You don't need a platform. You need consistency. You need to wake up and ask yourself, what would the future version of me thank me for today? And then you go do that. Every single day. Because you're not just building a career. You're not just chasing goals. You're building a story, a name. And one day, that name is all that's left. You want to know what's better than success. Respect. Not the fake kind. Not the kind you buy. Not the kind people give you out of fear. I'm talking about the kind of respect that's earned through hard choices, real work, and showing up every damn day, especially when it's hard. Maybe you've made mistakes. Maybe you've failed. Maybe your past is messy. That means you're human. But from this moment on, you're different. Not because someone gave you permission. Not because someone saved you. But because you decided. You decided to take your pain and build from it. To turn your story into strength. To stop surviving and start leading. And leadership, that starts with being the person you needed when you were younger. Be the man who shows up. Be the woman who doesn't fold. Be the friend who tells the truth. Be the partner who builds. Be the parent who leads with love and discipline. What you do matters. Who you are matters. But only if you live like it. So here's my challenge to you. Go become the person your legacy needs. If you've been waiting, stop waiting. If you've been blaming, stop blaming. If you've been hiding, step into the light. Because no one is coming. And that's not a tragedy, that's the greatest freedom you'll ever taste. You want peace. Earn it. You want pride. Build it. You want purpose. Live it. Because if you didn't make me, you can't break me. If you didn't give me breath, you can't take my will. I was born to rise. And so were you. So wake up. Own it. And go become unforgettable.